Okay, welcome to this lesson on animating the eyes. Now I want to start off with this particular animation exercise because basically the eyes are the most basic animation you can do. Say your whole body is paralyzed, you can't move anything, you can generally move your eyes, or at least that's how it appears in the movies. So let's kind of just go over a nice way to animate the eyes. So let's go ahead and split our window up here, and we're going to go ahead and create a new action, and we're going to call this eyes. Let's just call it eyes and then give it a serial number 001. We'll probably just make the 1, but I like to give things multiple digits in the serial number. So anyways, we'll go ahead and turn on our automatic keyframe insertion. And so let's just have him kind of just maybe like he's reading a newspaper or something like that. So let's go to our side view and move his eyes out a little bit further, his eye controller. Maybe tilt it down just a little bit. Okay. And say he's reading his newspaper and then someone says something and he looks up, kind of studies them, and then back to his newspaper. So let's kind of see how we're going to do that. Okay. So let's just get our basic blocking in. Going to start this keyframe way at the beginning, so just move that over to frame 1. Zoom in a little bit there. We see our frame numbers a little easier. 0 and 2, so therefore in between there would be 1. Okay, so we're going from frame 1, and then he's looking at the paper for about, we'll say a second, based on 30 frames per second. I think it's based on 24 frames, but let's go ahead and bump that to 30. I like a nice round number. I'll go ahead and save that. Okay, so we want him to look at the newspaper for about a second and then kind of glance up, look at the person for a second, and then back down to the newspaper. So 30 frames later, we'll go ahead and insert another keyframe just for the location. And you know what? Go ahead and do the location rotation because we kind of angled it down. Okay, so he's looking down there, and then boom, his eyes are going to dart up really quickly. And that's just going to take, we'll say, 4 frames for that to jump up there. So, okay, so he's looking. Let's go ahead and play it real quick. Looking down, and then somebody says something. Okay, then it might even be a little slow because the eyes move really fast. They dart from one place to another. So let's make it. Let's just drop it down one more frame. So it'll be 1, 2, 3 frames. It takes the eyes to travel up. Okay, so now we're on frame 33. Let's jump up to frame 63. Go ahead and insert a keyframe there. Location rotation. I'm just hitting I on my keyboard, by the way. And now we want him to look down at the exact same spot he was looking before, which is his newspaper. So let's just grab this keyframe here, Shift D, drag it over to about 3 frames forward. Zoom in here. 1, 2, 3. One more back. There we go. And then we'll have him looking at the paper again for another. So we're on frame 66. Let's go up to frame 96 and insert a location rotation. Okay. Now, I don't want my whole timeline to be the 240 frames that it has here, so I'm just going to jump that down, knock it down to 96 frames. So that covers our whole animation. So real quick, he's looking at his newspaper, and they're like, "Hey, Baker, huh? Never mind. Okay. Okay. So that looks okay, but it doesn't really look very lifelike because it's very, it's very dull. It's very boring, actually. So what he's doing now, when he's looking at his newspaper, his eyes aren't just looking at one spot on the newspaper. They're kind of darting back and forth, reading the words, looking at the pictures here and there. So let's kind of compensate for that. Let's zoom in here real close in our keyframe set there, so we can see the full length of him looking at the paper. And we're just gonna kind of every few frames we'll just move this around just a little bit so you can see his eyes moving just a little. Okay, maybe looking back. And there we go. Let's move this one back a little bit. Okay. Now you're seeing a straight line there, which usually indicates that there's no change in the keyframes. Well, there's obviously a change in the location of the keyframe, but that's showing us that there's no change in the rotation. So it's a little confusing, but it's no big deal. You can kind of just keep an eye on it. Okay, so if we go ahead and play it now, kind of looks a little bit better, but it's still not real lifelike, and that's because the eyes are going to dart, pause, dart, pause, dart, pause, dart, pause, kind of like that. And where it is here is there's constant motion. So what we're going to want to do is grab all these keyframes here and Shift D and just move them over just a little bit, and then we'll kind of close the gap between the still and the moving. So you can kind of see still, dart over, still, dart over, so on and so forth. So let's see what that looks like now. It's a little bit better. Okay, so he looks up. I'm going to do the same thing over here. He's looked up over to the guy yelling. So we'll just go a few frames, just move it around. It's kind of like, ah, look, he's wearing a new hat or new shirt or something. Studying that shirt. Okay, so do the same thing now. Grab all these new guys, Shift D, move them back. I'm just moving them back this time instead of forward. Close the gap between the keyframes there. Okay, and we'll start all over again. Reading his newspaper, looking down. Hey, Baker, what's going on? Oh, nothing. A shirt. And then back to his newspaper. And we can just go ahead and copy these guys here. Over there, just Shift D. Duplicates, and then boom. So we'll zoom in way on his eyes. La la la. Oh, it's a new newspaper. Baker, hey. Yeah, what's up? Nothing. Okay. Back to my newspaper. Okay, so that's a quick little exercise, but it definitely helps to add life to your animations when your character's not really doing much. Say he's just sitting at a computer, with his chin on his fist or on his palm, just sitting there staring at the screen, not moving at all except for his eyes, and this really helps to add life. So he's like looking down, and then he looks up, just it just helps to add that little bit of extra movement. So anyways, so that's going to be it for this lesson. Nice, quick, short and sweet one. So that's, like I said, just a quick, easy exercise just to add a little bit of extra, something to look at when you're having a boring scene where he's, there's nothing much happening. He's just sitting there, or he's just standing there, maybe, or maybe you're animating a hospital scene and the character is paralyzed. Well, maybe they can move their eyes a little bit or something. So anyways, so that's going to be it for that, and I will catch you next time.